What's going on, growers? It's James Prigioni coming to you live from Jersey. Today, I want to take you with me as I share over 35 edible perennials that I'm growing in my own backyard. Let's go! Let's jump right into it. What I'm going to do is go through the garden, show you all the perennials, the edible perennials, and then I'll put a list on the screen just letting you know how many we're at or what number we're at. And the garden I'm in right now, I'm in zone 7A in New Jersey. The space that I have, my whole property is about 1/3 of an acre, and I probably garden on about 1/3 of that. So all this takes place on about 1/9 of an acre, I would say. To start out, we've got some gooseberries right here. These gooseberries are, some of them are ready to harvest, like this one here. They're such a delicious little fruit with a great flavor. And this is number one. Very good, but we have to keep moving because we have a lot to show. Right behind me is the next one. Right here are emerald carpet raspberries. These are not like your typical raspberry. It's a completely different kind. You can see some of the flowers that are starting to form. So this is an excellent ground cover. It'll just cover the ground like this and root into the ground. Next we have yellow raspberries over here. These are the more regular raspberries, and these are my favorite flavored ones. These yellow ones here, so good, so delicious, and so sweet. I would say sweeter than your red raspberries. I do have some red ones too. Incredible flavor. And we prune these so that they're everbearing raspberries, which is very nice. Then right here, what I like to do is I like to mix my herbs within my food forest. So this is just a monster thing of oregano. As you'll see, I'll never have to plant another oregano plant. This thing just thrives and expands every single year like the rest of the forest. Above me here, you'll notice we have grapes. Here's the Concord grapes. This is one of my favorite varieties. The smell is incredible, the taste is incredible, the appearance of them is, it's just like everything else in nature. It just blows your mind. To the left of me here, we have a wild apple tree, you could say. This is my Prigioni apple, the one that I planted from seed. It's got a lot of fruit on it this year, so it's leaning over. Even though the plum curcula are going after it, still looks pretty healthy. Here we've got more grapes. We won't add this to another tally because it's the same thing, but I just wanted to show you as I walk by. We've got a lot of them in here. These are the Niagara grapes. Next, we've got figs. I've had a number of people ask me, James, why don't you grow figs? I've got figs in, I just don't show them very often. So this one's looking really good. It's got a lot of figs on it. And you'll notice where we planted this. We planted this next to the side of the greenhouse. The idea is that the greenhouse will hold in some of that heat and then allow some of that heat to kind of transfer over to this in the winter. This way it kind of forms a little insulation in the winter. Next, we've got a pear tree right here. We've got a number of pears, but this is a European pear. We've got a lot of Asian and European pears. Next up, we've got nuts. This is should be foundational for permaculture people because these things last almost forever once you get them producing. This hazelnut is loaded this year. It was last year, but I did get a lot of blanks on it. The thing that excites me so much though is that the other hazelnut is loaded too. Look at all these fruits. Look at all those nuts. It's nuts how many there are there. And this is the one though that really gets me super excited because I'm seeing a lot of fruit. More fruit than I have, or more nuts than I have ever seen. And then another edible that's also a medicinal that's also a perennial is these Echinaceas right here. So these flowers serve so many functions for us. One of them is bringing in pollinators. One of them is medicinal, and another one is just pure beauty. And right here we've got some cilantro. So what we do with the cilantro is we eat it when it's young. We let it go to flower, it brings in the pollinators, it goes to seed. You could then get coriander from it, or you could just let it drop down and reseed. You'll notice the ground, we've just got cilantro growing everywhere. And we'll continue to allow that to grow because the perennials and the flowers, annuals or whatever, that have that umbrella shape, they really bring in a lot of good pollinators. And then we've got Asian pears here. This is a 3-grafted Asian pear. Next over here, we've got the persimmon tree. This thing is just gonna be loaded with fruit again, just like last year. Great pollination, great overall health. Excellent tree. Then under us right here, we've got the asparagus. The asparagus patch is all done for the year. We're letting it go to fern so that it could grow large for the future. So we're investing in our future. That's one thing I love about food forests and fruit trees, is that it's always an investment for your future. Let's move over to these cherries though. We've got some ripe cherries. Let's grab one or two. taste them. And I showed you guys the Rainier cherry that we had a lot of cherries from just the other day, but this thing's finishing up too. So cherries is another edible perennial you got to get in. You may notice a theme. You'll see some of this white on the trees. This is just Surround, a kaolin clay powder. We use that to keep the plum curculio off, and it's just kaolin clay. It's natural. You could eat it. Next up, we've got some apples. We've got some nice looking apples here, good varieties, and we're spraying them with the clay. You can see a little more clay would be better, but we just did have some rain. So they're doing quite well. And we've also got a loyal dog here, so maybe we should see if we can grab a pea or something for him if he's hungry. Tuck, you want a snack, boy? This guy loves his garden snacks. Peas are one of his favorite. I love the peas too. And it's getting to the time of year where our carrots and stuff are getting ready also. So I wonder if there's a small carrot we could let him have maybe. I don't want to take one too early. I've got some big red ones it looks like, but I might try to save some of those. Let's try this one. It's like a black carrot. Ooh, the black aceta. Look at that, the black aceta carrot. Pretty cool looking. We'll let him snack on it. Needs to get much larger, but we'll let it go. Next up right here, we've got some lemon balm. This is another one that seeds on its own, and we just let it continue to expand, go throughout the garden because it smells great, and I just like the plant. Next to me right here, let's grab some more fruit. We've got the currants, the white currants, and you might not see at first appearance, but you lift these branches up, this thing's loaded with currants. And the white are my favorite currants. Such a delicious berry, a gentle flavor, but very good. A little bit of tartness, but so good. And then growing within this, which isn't what I wanted, but it's happened, is mint. So this is another edible perennial. We've got a bunch of different kinds of mints. And then right next to me here, you'll notice these massive leaves. These are the rhubarbs. We've got a number of rhubarbs just growing in the, the forest floor. And then above me here, which I've never actually got nuts off of, but it's a pretty tree. I hope I can in the future, but this is the almond tree, the all-in-one almond. And then as we move this way, we've got a few more things I want to get into. Let's keep moving along. Right underneath me here, we've got the chocolate mint. And what I love doing in this section is I love just walking by, kind of kicking my feet. And then if you just wait a second, the aroma from the chocolate mint will just blow up in it. It smells amazing. And it's great for making teas and stuff too. So it's a cool one. I have a couple different kinds of mints. When it comes to mints, it's suggested not to plant it into the ground like this because it can get crazy. You're better off planting it in a pot so it doesn't just keep expanding because this stuff is invasive. As we go over here, we've got some blackberries. We love our berries in Jersey, and as you can see, the strawberries are just finishing. I'll show you some strawberries later, but all the next rounds of berries are coming. So the currants, the gooseberries, the raspberries, the black cap raspberries, the yellow raspberries, all the good stuff. And then we'll keep moving along over here, and I've got check this one out, this is pretty cool. From seed, we've got the pawpaw tree. So my neighbor has a couple of pawpaws, and we planted some of the seeds. Here we've got a nice pawpaw growing in a good location, and it's right underneath a plum tree. And I talked about it in the other video, but I have 3 plum trees that I planted that were supposed to be apricots, and they're not. So I'm just gonna pull them out, I think, because they're not the kind of tree that I want to put in here. I only have so much space, so I want to make sure I'm getting the most out of the space that I'm using. So we've got this pawpaw. I'd like to allow that to space and just basically remove this. Next to me here, we've got more currants. This is the same variety over there, but it's my favorite variety. That's why I grow so many of them. But look at this. It's also quite productive. It's gonna be some delicious snacks. And then we'll keep moving down here. We have a number of other perennials. Here's a perennial where I haven't actually gotten fruit from yet. This is the wolfberry. I don't really know how this one tastes, but I've had some of the autumn olives and the gummies. I have autumn olives in the back, I'll show you, and they don't taste amazing. This looks like it's in the same family, so it's a cool one, but I don't suggest probably planting a lot of it. I'd rather grow blueberries. As we move along over to this section, we've got the red raspberries. So we grow all different kinds. And then an important skill when you're a gardener is to know what things look like when they're young. So if we look right down here, we don't want to pull these out because this looks like it's chamomile. And if I come back over here, that's another one of our edible perennials we use for teas, chamomile. We've got a nice looking plant back there. I've got another one growing behind the bed over there, and then, you know, we just allow them to keep reseeding because we love having them. Here is thyme, German thyme. You'll notice we put a number of herbs under the trees. We just like doing that, we think it's fun. So we use this for our steaks and our chicken and stuff. Then I want to show you something that's crazy. I bet not a lot of other people have it. I'm talking about an orange tree in New Jersey. I'm serious, let me bring you back here. In this section in the back corner, it's not your typical orange tree. This is, you're not gonna be able to just crack the oranges open and eat them fresh. It's more for making like orange A's and stuff, but this is in the orange family. And if you creep back here, you'll notice we've got some oranges on it in the back, some more back there, so it's pretty cool. Self-pollinating orange. I'm excited about it. I think it will be a lot of fun. And then we've got more perennials right next to it here. Look at this monster horseradish. So you can eat the leaves of this, but I mean, you want the root to make horseradish sauce, but beautiful looking root. I mean, beautiful looking leaves, very healthy. And then we've got another perennial I want to show you right behind us over here. And this is the Japanese raisin tree. This thing's getting quite large too. A cool tree. Not something common that a lot of other people have. And then you know we are known for our blueberries. So we have so many blueberries over here. Here's our new row of blueberries, looking fantastic. And then some more chamomile, like I mentioned, right on the outside of the bed. So we've got chamomile growing and coming up everywhere. We love to see that when flowers expand. That's one of the things with the food forests. As I walk by this apple here, I want to show you something that's pretty incredible. And it's this whole idea of perennials in food forests, this idea of self-replication and expansion. The food forest is always trying to replicate itself and always trying to expand its edge and its borders. A great example of that is over here, where I showed you these hazelnuts that are just loaded with fruit. So the hazelnuts are loaded with fruit. They're trying to extend their width and then drop seeds down to kind of move their plants and extend the edge of the forest, like right here. The hazelnut dropped down this, and now it's growing on the outside of the forest. So it's kind of like trying to take over the whole garden. I just think it's such a fascinating thing about food forests in general. Let's check out some other stuff in the new food forest right here. Before I bring you to the young food forest, I want to show you some things that we're growing in the chicken pen that are perennials and that are edible too. But before I do that, I want to show you some squash we have that just came up from my compost pile, looking massive already, and some zucchini back there too. But right here, we have an edible perennial that I have planted for the chickens. These are autumn olives. And not only are they going to provide food for the chickens, because they're just small berries right now, but they're also providing a beautiful amount of shade. As I pull this back, you'll see Percy back there. So when it gets really hot and stuff, the chickens love coming back here, hanging out in the shade, and then in a short period of time, they'll be able to eat the fruit too. So we've got this idea of multifunctionality where it's providing a shelter, but it's also providing food too. Then right here, we've got pigeon peas. This is another chicken feed, but it's also a nitrogen fixer. So, or not, I think they're called chickpeas. So, or not chickpeas, but I'll put the exact name. So that's what they look like. They've got those small pods. When you see things with the pods like that, you could be pretty sure that those are nitrogen fixers. So that's a nitrogen fixer, which is fantastic. We love having those in the garden. Looks like Tuck is having a lot of fun chasing the chickens around. He's always doing that. As we move over here, we've got a lot of grapes. And grapes are one of the things I just love growing. We've got them going along the whole entire fence line. And one thing you'll notice in this section, but even more over here where I'll show you, and you can see we're starting to tie our tomatoes up. They're looking fantastic. But in this section right here, look at all the grapes. One thing you'll notice a theme is I went crazy with the pruning. That's how I like to do it. So I took off any big fan leaves or anything that are covering those grapes because I want those grapes to get good sunlight, direct sunlight. That's very important. Let's drop down and look at another perennial right here. Here we've got rosemary. This is a great edible perennial, and it is a companion for your brassicas and your broccolis, all those kinds of things. So it's a great one to have in the ground, which is also a companion. Let's move over to the section more in the corner and continue getting some perennials. Let's check out the perennials in this corner now. Got peaches to the left of me, strawberries underneath, a lot of strawberries. They're still in production. They've slowed down a little because the peak season is past, but we still got a lot of fantastic strawberries. And I've eaten too many of these to even count. Next to me here we have peaches. I love growing peaches. This is the Betty peach. You'll notice the white on it. Again, that's the surround. I like to have more on there, but it's okay for a base coat. Just to discourage the plum curculio. This is another persimmon tree. The other persimmon tree I had over there is Nikita's Gift. That's the one that's, it's a hybrid. It is astringent, so you have to wait for it to get soft. This is a fuyu. This is a non-astringent. You can eat those persimmons when they're hard. It's nice to have both kinds because the astringent persimmons, those aren't ready until like the late winter when it gets very cold, while the non-astringent ones are ready earlier. So it's like extending your harvest. More peaches here, grapes along the fence line. Right here is a wild plum. Look at this one. I've got a couple wild plums that I have planted in here. I think it's pretty fun. I've also got the thundercloud plum. So here you can see a little plum on it. It's never been a huge producer for us, but we're hopeful that now that the tree's been in about its 4th year, I think you can increase the production. I'm gonna stay on top of pruning it. It's a little different when it's a wild plum though. Apples, still apples over here. And then we follow a similar theme with what we have of blueberries, apples, strawberries, and we've got a few different things though on that side garden. Let me bring you over to that other fruit forest. We'll check out a few more perennials to get us past 35. Now, we're over by kind of where we started. I just started right behind me, but I wanted to show you this before I move to the other fruit forest. Right here are 2 Aronia bushes. So these are edible perennials too, but there's a few perennials which I suggest that you don't grow because I don't think they're worth it. This is one of them. I wouldn't plant this again if I didn't already have it in the ground. I don't think they're that delicious. Overall, it's not a great plant in my opinion. And the other plant that I would never grow again, it might be a little controversial for some of you, but it's the Goji Berry. I've had them, they don't taste good at all. I've dried them, it tastes like a bad tomato. So it might be good for you or something, but if it's really good for you, I'd rather just get a powder somewhere and mix it in a drink. It doesn't taste that good. But let me keep moving over to the other garden. Before I do that, this is that purple thundercloud plum, and this has small plums, but one of the reasons I got the tree was just look at the leaves, man. This thing is just so beautiful. So just the sight of it and the contrast with the other trees, it really sticks out. I think it's got a nice look to it. Then over here we've got my favorite kind of raspberries. These are the black cap raspberries, or as I like to say sometimes, the sea of raspberries. You'll notice we've got a big harvest on the way. Nothing gets me more excited than fresh fruit right from the tree, right from the vine, right from the bramble. So good. Let's go in there and check out a few more things though. Over on the side garden, sometimes I call this the food forest that specializes in berry production. One reason I love this so much is because this thing is on the north side of my house. So this is like a location where people would think you probably can't even grow that much. So much food in here. Right here is another wild plum. So it's kind of like the sister to the other one I have. And then we've just got so many blueberries in here. I love blueberries, so we can never have too many. As I walk through all these, some of them are starting to get ripe, like this one right here, this variety. So we've got some fresh, ripe blueberries. Not perfectly ripe, but man, they're gonna be good. So we'll pop those in our mouth. One of my favorite tasting things. Behind us over here too, we've got a Saskatoon, Serviceberry. Looks like a blueberry. Doesn't taste that much like a blueberry. A little more of a subtle flavor. Not any of that tartness, but still an overall good flavor. I like the Serviceberries. They're good. Pretty good flavor. As we move this way, we've got more blueberries and stuff. And then you'll notice in the ground here, I'm not doing a good job of staying on top of this plant. These are the Boysenberries and the Tayberries. They're really taking over though. If we step through over here, you'll notice all the fruit. The fruit is kind of at the base of the plant more. So we're gonna get a lot of fruit in this section, but I need to come through and clean it up because it's, by not having it organized and not having it trellised up along the fence, it's gonna make it harder to harvest it. And it's making it harder to weed. So we're gonna clean this section up, but still another delicious perennial. The Boysenberries and the Tayberries. As I step out of the side garden, I wanted to show you the Goji berries over here. You'll notice these have been neglected because I don't care about them. I'm taking them out. I really, in my opinion, they're the worst plant because they're so like invasive too. They want to expand, they want to grow so fast, and they don't even taste that good, and it's almost like they're rarely fruit. I don't like them. Instead I like blueberries. So we're gonna remove these Goji berries and put more blueberries in. That's today's video, growers. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. I hope you're encouraged to get some stuff in the ground, some edible perennials, because you see the kind of space that I have. Sometimes people think that I have acres and acres of land. I don't have that much space. I just really like to pack things all together. And then some people might question, why are you planting so many different kinds of edibles and things? What's the point of all the different perennials? Well, one of the things is I love all the different kinds of things. It's fun to just be able to see the different kind of growth patterns, taste the different kind of fruits, and to just be involved in all of it. But also, when you plant a lot of different things, it forms up kind of harvest insurance, because there's always something that does good every year. The weather is always going to be different. So the weather is always permitting for one of the kinds of things you're growing if you're growing so many different kinds of stuff. So I plant almost everything that I can grow in my location. If there's anything I missed, make sure you guys let me know. But before I let you go, I wanted to thank Robert Matner, one of the new channel members. Thanks for being a part of Team Grow. Me and Tuck really appreciate it. But if you guys enjoyed the video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share with your friends. Don't forget to check out the merch down low. And remember, whenever you're on Amazon, start your shopping with our Amazon affiliate link. Tuck and James, we'll be back at you again real soon. We